Welcome, everyone, to the Win Now podcast, hosted by Deborah Byrd, founder and CEO of Plug and Play SM.
I am so excited for today's show, so let's go.
And then myself, Todd Bookspan, founder of Win by Noon. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Win Now podcast. I am your host, Todd Bookspan, founder of Win by Noon, and I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostest, Deborah Byrd, CEO and founder of Plug and Play SM. Welcome, Deborah.
What's up, everybody?
That was just one. I did that in one breath. That was really impressive.
That
was
good.
And in case you all didn't notice.
And you're usually a really talk faster, so I'm really talk faster. Did that come out right? Was that even the correct word choice?
It sounded perfect to me.
You speak really fast, but that was pretty good with your pitch and your tone that changed a little bit.
All right,
so
well, I'll take that as a compliment. I'll take that as a win. So, I made up the title for this, so I think it's appropriate. I think it's like 10x your business with genius Scott Nicholson. So I hope that's appropriate. But I'll let you introduce Scott and kick us off.
Well, so we're about 2 weeks out from the Modern Mortgage Summit, and I know I've had a lot of people DMing me, messaging me, emailing a lot about Denise's presentation and what she called the nerd flicks, which I had not even thought of, the digital storytelling aspect and how you could leverage Lender Launchpad with digital storytelling. But the most critical part was, how are we showing up in a high-tech world? Both when you look at what Denise presented on, as well as Sean Kaplan. We all know the best piece of real estate is the phone. And how can we increase the mobile and digital side where we're reducing the friction for people to be able to communicate with us, but not lose the personalization? Because that's what you don't want to get too automated, where people feel like, they're just on a conveyor belt. And so Denise talked about Lender Launchpad. In fact, a lot of the presenters that were on stage, which I thought was ironic, here we are, the Modern Mortgage Summit. So you have the best of the best, and a lot of them, majority of them, use Lender Launchpad. So Scott is the CEO and founder and, longtime vet in the mortgage space, mortgage coach user, MBS highway user. I think I've learned more just attending his Lender Launchpad classes on just mortgage strategy and how to look at a Rubik's Cube and get it to work while learning the tech tools. So I thought I'd have him on and tell us a little bit more about Lender Launchpad, where it's at, where it's going, and how people are 10xing their business by attraction and not chasing. So welcome, Scott.
Jeez, that's a good one there. Was that one breath or two breaths too? That was pretty good.
That's a few. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here. As soon as you asked, I'm in, with my two favorites, you two. So the Modern Mortgage Summit and Denise's presentation was great. I think it opened a lot of eyes to wow. Wait a minute, what's going on here? And almost like they had to do double and triple retakes. Wait a minute, and she only gave a small version of really what it is, and so
right. Very small.
So what we'll do is, just with Todd and his expertise, and with his 15 years with Dave on Mortgage Coach, he sees production and relationships at such a high level. So I'm excited to really kind of present a little bit, unleash Lender Launchpad a little bit in here, make the Modern Mortgage Summit, bring more into that environment and what Denise is doing. And I'll show it from my perspective. But I actually prepared a few slides, and I think, because I want to give visuals, because I'm such a visual learner or presenter, is I think you kind of alluded to it, is those who can take a very complex situation like our real estate market currently, right? And I don't know if there's ever been a time that mortgages weren't complicated, right? It just today, they're more complicated, I think, than ever, right? Because so much, third or external events happening, things that are coming to us as an originators, we have to absorb with the LLPA, just all a bunch of stuff, right? And noise. So I prepared some slides just to show you how Lender Launchpad, I would take a few things and I would, dive it down. But I guess my point here is those who communicate the simplest will win, right? Mm-hmm. That's Donald Miller, right? He says right there in StoryBrand, you may not have the best product, right? Or you may have the best product, But because your delivery and your story is so complex, you're not going to gain market share, right?
I feel like we have to do a 20-second timeout because we have a rule. So I know Todd's raising his hand, but every time Scott says right, everybody has to take a shot.
No,
It's a drinking rule.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I'm raising my hand for real quick for a couple of things, right? So first off, some of you are listening to this in podcast format. And so I will make sure that the slides that Scott shows, that we will have a link in the show notes so that you can access that. And then I also want those of you who are real estate agents who are listening not to tune it out because I think that what Scott says matters. I was interesting. I presented to, you all know I'm in this wealth rabbit hole, right? So I've been going down this wealth rabbit hole, and I spoke to KW Wealth, Keller Williams Wealth, my friend Brett Hanner, partnered with Gary Keller, and they've got the best at KW coming together to learn wealth building together. And I got to speak to them about what's going on in banking last week. And I, of course, called Dave Savage and said, hey, well, what are your thoughts, any advice? And he's like, simplify it. If you can simplify it, then you win. So I love that. And I think if you're a real estate agent listening, the reason that this conversation matters is because what I see with Lender Launchpad is that there's an opportunity for the loan officer you work with to simplify it for your clients, to simplify it to the other agent when there's an offer out there. And anytime that your partner is doing a better job than other partners, then you both win.
Wow. So, okay. So more subject here, framing this subject. So we did not huddle, we didn't plan on anything, but wait till you see the slides, because I did not realize you have realtors on here. So this is perfect. So the content I have is really, well, with the loan officer and that agent on this, they're going to die when they start to see this, especially from the realtor side of the fence.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. So I did not know that. So this is so let's just dive into it. Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Tell me.
There's no formality here, Scott. We're all friends.
Yeah.
We got friends all tuning in, and this is, this is a lot of fun. We have a big crowd both here and live on Facebook. And I'm just super stoked that they're getting to see you and all your brilliance.
Okay, whatever. Okay, so let me share my screen, and then let's bring a deck in. So let's go here. So you guys see my screen, all right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get that in there. Okay. Let me see. We could go here. Okay. So, And I framed it with this, those who can communicate. So I'm going to speak directly to the LOs first, right? So I laid this out in really how to leverage Lender Launchpad, right? And kind of 4 steps. And so I picked a topic, and then we're going to kind of go through this formula here, these 4 steps. So, selecting that topic, gathering your resources, which are going to be, like Deb alluded to a little bit, my mortgage coach, my MBS highway, my bomb, my loom, my slide deck, whatever I want. So taking those resources and then putting that into your Lender Launchpad to publish that content, either private or public. And we'll get into that, and then distribute that content out there. And so if you follow these 4 steps, and it could be any topic, anything you want, could be a very simple one, how to read a CD, right? How to read an LE, right? As an originators, it seems like every time we send an LE out, right? It's like, oh my gosh, Scott, why are we paying seller's fees? Well, you're not, just legally, you can do a lot of different things on Lender Launchpad. So, and before I get into this, give me a sentence, Scott, that best describes Lender Launchpad to everybody. I would answer that with Lender Launchpad is a digital canvas that you can bring all your tools together to create the content and then to publish publicly, which would be on your Lender Launchpad website, or privately between your client, your agent, or your referral partners and such. And so that's probably the best way to describe that. And so now
just to expand on that a little bit, because I had even the nerd, like I was pressing this upon her for a good solid year. And if you're listening thinking, I've heard about this, but I'm like in my mind, I'm thinking, how am I going to get everybody on the ship from my team to like navigate on? Like, I feel like I'd have to take a few steps back. Like that was the inner self-talk that I know Denise was having, and she delayed learning and adopting this tool where she's kicking herself now. Because what she at first thought was, well, can't I just send that all in an email? Like, couldn't I just hyperlink different TCAs? I could attach my approval letter. Like I can put a YouTube link in there. Like, why do I need this delivery system when isn't that what email can do? And so I told her, and once I showed her the clunkiness of, the email and the friction and how it's not super modern, and it doesn't really reach to the millennials and Gen Zs who really have zero tolerance for like delay, or, they're not going to read through a lot of things. She also didn't realize the ease of the duplication of all these presentations. And I don't know which ones you'll show, Scott, but I think in her mind, she made it out to be like it was going to be a little harder to learn,
right?
Almost like Mortgage Coach, because, sometimes it takes a little bit to learn Mortgage Coach. So, I just want to echo that if you're having some of those thoughts, know that that's normal, because you'll see this and you'll be like, wow, it does. There's so many things it can do, but it's all about simplifying while maximizing technology and your efficiency, which will then save you time. So.
Yep. Well, I think I should pause for a second, maybe take a step backwards just for 1 second, is just a little bit about me, those who don't know me, right? Been in the business for 22 years. In 2000, late 18 into early 19, my business partner, Justin, who's my nephew, we sat down like, Uncle Scott, come on, let's do something together. And he's in big tech, so he has nothing to do with our industry. And we're not doing another CRM or, anything like that craziness. But I go, Justin, I have some ideas based on all my years of experience of frustration and just the disconnect of everything, in the space of marketing and education. And that's basically why we formulated Lender Launchpad and what we did, and watch it evolve too, because it's a canvas and it's really fun to watch our current members, take the canvas and utilize it in their own business for different needs, right?
Right.
So many different people, like Jeff comes to immediately mind, one of our members, and he goes, sweet Scott, I'm going to use this as my client dashboard. So not only at application or approval or as we're shopping, it's one link, it's private, all my communication, I loop in my agents, my market updates. It's just simple, easy, and all the tools and resources are there to effectively communicate to his clients, for example. And he came up with that, not us, right?
Yeah.
He's utilizing the canvas in a different way.
So I've been trying to hire him ever since.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to steal him every day.
Yep. And so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna select a topic. Let me scale down just a little bit. So I'm gonna select select this topic on this one. All right, you guys see this all right?
Mm-hmm.
So my topic is rate buy downs. What a perfect topic with this community, right? Right. Agent and LOs on the platform. Because I have the male as the agent, right? The consumer, woman's on the right, she's the consumer. And you talk rate buy downs to each of them, they're going, oh, shoot, here we go again, right? So what's the difference? Why didn't the temporary not help me qualify? I wish we had this type of software and technology back in 07 or 08. When then obviously we're in a huge issue with buy downs and, the different types of them. So it's a bit of a mess as far as the LO communicating that efficiently to the client, but also now, because we have agents on here, how does the LO take this topic and effectively educate agents, but also support their properties, right? And their clients for buy down. So this is kind of the perfect topic now. So let's take that as a topic and let's run it through the 4 steps, right? So number 1, I pick my topic, rate buy downs. Now we get into resources. So I'm going to gather my resources. So I'm going to take a Loom, I'm going to take a Mortgage Coach, right? And maybe take a YouTube. And I'm going to put it in the formula or in Lender Launchpad, and it's going to allow me to produce this. So this would be the finished product. So now I can go, all right, Mortgage Coach, I'm going to do a couple TCAs, and I'm going to talk about how I can use a buy down, which I'll show you the finished product here in a second, how I can take the buy down to fix affordability. How can I take the buy down to regain the lost buying power we've lost in the high rate, high price environment? How do I take the Lender Launchpad rate buy down topic? How do I show the side by side? What's the difference between a temporary and a permanent buy down? How does that affect my payment? How does that help me with prices? And how does that affect? I mean, there's so much you can do with buy downs. People are like, it's just a buy down. No, it's not, because there's so many things that can actually benefit not only the seller, the listing agent that's a whole nother space, but we use buy downs for the CMAs. We use buy downs for listings, which we'll get into a second. So the topic on a scale of 1 to 10, in my mind, it's a 10 as far as complexity, right? That's why I chose it. Let me go after something hard. Then I'm going to gather my resources. So I'm going to use a mortgage coach. I'm going to use a Loom, which is a video, or just like BombBomb. And I'll use YouTube. So I'm going to bring all that together. And then now, once I've established that and built it in Lender Launchpad, now I can distribute it. And so now I can get it into the channels I need it to be in. Let's say I make this one as a public one and I need to partner with an agent, right? So I can come in here, customize it to the agent, and then I can help them educate their side of the fence on what the buy downs and how this is going to impact them, how it brings, because let me pause for a second. Let me just speak to that space right there. Agents, probably the number one issue, especially a buyer agent, their number one issue, I guarantee it will, the ones pretty much everyone, we'll put everyone in that bucket is, gosh, Scott, my buyers are moving to the sideline, right? Because they went to their lenders and they can no longer afford the price points they were approved at, and or if they want to stay there, they can no longer afford. So they're forcing the buyers to the sidelines with these rates. So that's why it's important to take a subject like this, fine tune it, and then go ahead and partner with that agent to get that education out there. So on the phone, there's the actual rate buy down guide consumed on your cell phone for either be the agent or consumer. And on the right, what the LO is building on their own Lender Launchpad is their library. So I showed you a screenshot of mine, by the way, and I'll pause for another second. A great URL to go to look at all this later after the call, right, is nicholsonloans.com. So that is my personal Lender Launchpad site that I use in my practice that you can come in, and that's what you're going to see. So down on the right, there's my buy down guide. And so there's no coincidence that's the most viewed. It's like 3,400 views on that, and it's being shared because whoever gets it can not only consume the content, but they can refer it like, hey, brother, hey, check this thing out. Look at how Scott's leveraging the buy downs and look at the affordability he's creating for us and so on and so forth. Or if I share it with an agent, they can share it in their office. So that's the yellow side of the fence here. And so now you're saying, okay, so we took a very complex subject, right? We put it through the 4 steps. Pick your subject, rate buy downs. 2, gather your resources. And not everyone's a mortgage coach. I get it. MBS Highway, right? I do spreadsheets, right? That's okay. Just get your resources together to craft the best story you can, tech-wise, right? And that's what's so great about Lender Launchpad. And what we wanted to do was, we all as originators have different tech stacks, right? Based on what we want to say and tell and all that. But there's nothing in the industry that allows all of them to play together, right? To craft my story. So I can bring my TCA and my MBS Highway report if I want. So MBS Highway has a great bid to over ask, right? Lots of different stuff in there. So I can have two of these tech entities play together, which is really nice, right? And then craft it with some other content. And then now let's go one step further because there's still another hurdle in front of us. That's cool, Scott, that you picked a difficult subject and your software can easily put it all together. And I'm going to go, and how many LOs on the call have done this? I know a ton of you have. Gosh, Scott, I saw your webinar on with everybody on Mortgage Coach on the seller buy down stuff. And because I've been doing it since 07. Great. So you gave me the mental education here. And I went right out to my real estate office and I did a presentation on it. But guess what's going to happen when you present? Scott, love it. But I need your help, right? In my property or with my buyer. So there's where the roadblock is for most people, right there. There's the hard stop. Done. Like, oh shoot, how do I get this? How do I get a TCA and a listing, right? How do I put all this content to support that property, right? Or support your builder. And so that's what we continue to evolve on Lender Launchpad. So now, this is just a screenshot, and I'll show you this property. Now I can go partner with my agent or my builder, and I can bring all of that content together. So I can create this property in Lender Launchpad under listings, and then bring in that total cost analysis, bring in that BombBomb video, bring in that PDF, bring in the content that I need to continue to educate on another level. So did that help a little bit as far as, kind of taking a topic, kind of going through those steps?
And I think what's important is when you're thinking of the topic, as always, it's what's the pain point in the market right now? And that's what usually helps me think, okay, home affordability we know is a challenge. We also know inventory is a challenge. A lot of people have had increased purchase apps, but it's like, where are people? How are they going to find the homes if there's not enough homes listed? With just a fun stat for y'all, 42% of the homes at the end of last quarter sold with a seller concession.
Right.
42%. So it's happening, and who knows how well they're being explained. And imagine if they had something like Lender Launchpad where that's not even like, who knows what the stat is. This would be a great one to look up, which I won't do right now, but how many homes reduced their price when they probably could have done a seller concession, which would have been the bigger win for both people.
Right. So a couple of thoughts, right? So one is Walt. I love it. Walt just said he finally, he's missed it, that ultimately that Lender Launchpad is a digital canvas to make presentations. And I think that's the key. So I threw a link over into both Zoom and Facebook. We'll make sure we put it into the show notes if you're listening to us on the podcast for Scott's page, because you can see what the ultimate Lender Launchpad user is doing with it, right, and all the things that you can do. Because that's the part that I think still blows me away, is how much it's evolved since Scott first started working on this. And you have to remember that Scott's the person when, a year ago, when, even more, slightly over that, we started talking about buy downs in the Mortgage Coach community. Scott was the person we brought in to teach it, because he does such a good job of explaining things. And then to watch how Lender Launchpad has evolved since then, all the things that are on there. I'm going to have to get you twist your arm, Scott. Let's do an offline call on integratinghoa.com. I think that'd be cool too.
Yes.
Another great way for partners and realtors on there. So I'm doing a master class on that. I just threw in my link. I'll throw it into the show notes. If you're watching this, the master class I'm doing next week will already have passed, but that link will always be refreshed with whatever the next HOA.com master class that's coming up. But I think that'd be one more thing, because that's a great tool for marrying a lender and a real estate agent together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so imagine having that tool, with a Lender Launchpad, and just the combined, resource there, or power in there. So I'm in. So done. No twist in there. So let's do this. Let's dive into specific things, right? Let's get into actual links and content, and let's go in particular. I'm going to bring in my
that's a pretty view
homepage. What was that? Oh,
is that Deborah's kitchen or yours?
This one right here. That's Deb's.
It is not mine.
That's Deb's.
Definitely not.
So you guys see
That's
this?
Way too much fruit. You guys know better than that.
Yeah, fresh fruit. So we're in California there. So so this is Nicholson Loans. So this is me taking Lender Launchpad as an LO, right, and creating this. And let's look at just a few things real quick. Then we'll just keep the story going as far as taking that subject and really showing you kind of the front and the back to it, and how we can help each other in our industry, right? Because we got
which just right here again. If you guys go to nicholsonloans.com, for those listening, this could essentially take the place of your website. If you don't have a website, just look at this where people could easily call you, they could email, they can apply now.
I know.
So I just want you guys to realize, and I know we probably won't get into it here, but you can have customized URLs so that it could say nerdloans.com or bookspinloans. So this is essentially a website in the beginning.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I always say this in their demos is this is one side of Lender Launchpad. It's the public side. I always say this is my Macy's storefront window. And what's cool about this, right? You don't have to be a web developer, right? Or like, hey, I need this stuff. Can you upload this content? Sure, I'll get you in a week or two or whatever. You can do it instantly. So I'll scroll down, and the first section you're going to see is my presentations. And these are the last 6. And we'll get into the buy down guide and we'll keep that message going. But if you were to come up to click on presentations, this was the first thing I sat down with Justin. Here's what I want. I need to create a content library. I need to get my mind sorted in a library. Then I'm using my mortgage coach because I have thousands of TCAs, right? You guys are like big mortgage coach users. So I have these thousands of TCAs. So Justin, I need to get them out. So Deb, correct me if I'm wrong or not, is the millennial searching for content?
Yes.
100%. And I'm learning this from you, spending time with you, is not only that, they're searching for trust, right? What was the stat you said? It's like the most least trust time in our history, right? Or something like that.
The default is distrust.
Yeah. And so that's why they can jump into content like this and they can go through and really get to know me, right? Even though I haven't met Scott in person or anything, I know Scott at a personal level now because I get to see what he's doing, the examples, what he's doing, and also the problems I'm solving. So let's go on the rate buy down guide. So let's just click on that. And this is what I've created. So you can come in here. I just put a couple slides together on Canva. Like Canva, a lot of our members use Canva, which is great. You just build a couple things, right? And open up your BombBomb or your Loom. And
Hi,
now
are you a
you
buyer
can
in
get in
today's
here.
market? And if you are, you probably heard the term rate buy down.
Right. Then you can really start to narrate your story, right?
This is the start of the Nerdflix. It's like you're watching the first one, which can then take you to these other ones because naturally you're going to crave. Hopefully you get on this binge and you're just wanting to learn everything you can about the rate buy down.
I did say right. So it's like the Bob Newhart drinking show back in the day. That's dating me right now. We'd watch Bob Newhart every time you said.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Todd, you know Bob Newhart.
Yeah, that's just so embarrassing, Deborah.
Sorry.
This may be it, Scott. You just may have to be my new co-host of the Win Now podcast, but we'll get you hooked up. With a good.
Michelle knows, and it looks like Zane is disappointed.
Oh yeah. So every time you said
it's all good. Well, you know Saved by the Bell, and I don't know that too well.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know that. So every time they said Bob, so every time I say right, you had to drink. So that's it. There you go. So here's the Loom. So let's look at technology first. Here's the resources. This is step 2. So I'll go, okay. So the whole principle behind this is I was watching everyone going, oh my God, everyone and their mothers posted on social, but via text, right? Or just a flyer, a nice flyer. But there's no way in God's green earth could you ever elaborate to efficiently educate a consumer agent about buy downs just by a text on a Facebook and maybe a paper. So I go, this is ridiculous. So I put a couple slides together just to show a high level. I turned on my Loom. I recorded the video. I dumped it in my Lender Launchpad. But then now I go, okay, so now I need to bring in a few mortgage coaches, right? There it is, drink. So now you should have told me that. So now I'm going to create, so here's what's cool with Lender Launchpad. I can go ahead and create my own questions, right? I already know what people are thinking are going to ask me. Mm-hmm. How does a buy down help me qualify, Scott, for a new loan? I established the question and then this TCA answered it. And this is what they want.
Scott. So
they want somebody breaking it down, make it 5th grade level. And now they can see how I can help them qualify for a house that they lost, for an example. So here's a perfect example. I'll be quick, this is where they were at, almost $700,000 for the $4,700 payment, right? But with a buy down, you can increase it all the way up to 100 for the same payment. You could only do this with a TCA. A TCA by itself doesn't work, right? It's just a link, right? It's like, okay, I got lost it. Where was that thing at? But it's the marriage of everything and bringing all the ingredients together, which I call resources, to effectively tell that story. So does that make sense?
Can I just add to that, Scott, is sometimes it's not just because look, y'all are looked at as salespeople. So there's already this amount of friction you have to cut through because people are going to be a little skeptical because when has a loan officer or real estate agent for that matter ever gone online and said, now is not a good time to buy? So it's not just educating the direct end user at times. Sometimes it's equipping them, which this is how you scale your education, is they may have to go to bat for you with their parents or say that listing agent or buyer's agent who are like, no, that buy down, that's just a gimmick. So how else, what other tools are helping you fight that battle right now if you don't have something like this to help your customer then send out at scale to other people who are trying to tell them this isn't a good idea? Do you see what I mean with that scale of opportunity of education?
Yep. And then so let's focus on, let's now bring the agent involved. Like, hey, I love the speech, Scott. It was awesome. I think there's a lot of stuff, but come on, Scott, I'm not a finance, guy or gal. So how can you help me? How can I get your content right to my people? How can I get your content on my property? So let's look at that problem. Let's solve that. So now I'm going to go back into my dashboard. I'm going to open up listings and I'm going to show you the actual one I was giving you there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a couple things. So one, and you're the queen of thumbnails, Deb. So on Lender Launchpad, you can create your own custom thumbnail. So when you take this link, right, and let's say you're pushing it into your social media or you're pushing it into your CRM, you can create that custom thumbnail on top of that property photo. And this is the rate buy down approved property, for example. And now when I get into it, let's open it. Now when I get into it, let's look at how this true partnership of education to the masses now starts to work. So now I can come in here, put this nice property together with my agent. Well, that's weird. My YouTube just went out. There's my mortgage coach TCA. So now one of the biggest problems I wanted to solve, because I've been a mortgage coach user 16 of my 22
so I want
years.
To show you, this is
I need to go, Austin, I got you covered. I'm going to go ahead and put a mortgage coach TCA. So think of the different tool stacks. I'm kind of a little bit. Have you seen that message before? I've never seen that before.
No, I don't know why.
I jinxed you.
Because you
Sorry,
didn't do anything
Scott.
different. That used to be a YouTube video intro with he and his listing agent, which
weird.
was a really cool way for agents to refer to you.
Well, it'll be fixed by the time everyone else watches it. So let's just pretend it's there.
It's probably over. It's probably in Russia right now. So they're probably some Russian out. Yeah, whatever. So, but here's the cool thing. So now I can get this property together, and let's say the sellers approved it, right? Great. Go ahead and market it, Scott. Let's go. Great. I could teach them. There's my link, right? Need additional information? Great. Here's my seller buy-down guide. So I have it hyperlinked in comments, but I'm supporting now all of the education on their platform, their listing. There's my TCA. Here's my MBS highway. Here's my my BombBomb. Here's my listing agent. I can put PDFs. I can put all types of content on now the listings. And now you're saying, great, Scott, I need flyers. A very simple, like rudimentary request, like a flyer, right? Especially in 2023, no problem. So Lender Launchpad, and we knew we had to solve that problem quick and efficiently. So you just scroll down, the property automatically generates the flyers to support. So think about where we've gone so far in 30 minutes, right? So we took a very complex subject, and I'm showing you through Lender Launchpad how I can bring all my necessary tech stack tools together to craft a very educational one-to-many story or private story, and then get it out to my agents, out to my customers. But not only that, keep solving more problems. And the next problem we just solved was, how do I continue to add value, bring my realtors back in, right? To bring their edge or their clients in, and I can help support their properties and so on and so forth. So I've kind of checked all the boxes as far as taking a very complex subject, bringing my education all together seamlessly. I can share all of that, but also I can bring it into another type of a platform for listings and then continue on with that same subject. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's keep going into, I think you started to allude to it, and I'm going to go back into, I'm in my dashboard, by the way. I'm going to pull up probably the largest issue that we have in our industry right now. It's inventory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you two things I do. How I use Lender Launchpad for my client as far as converting that lead and get him to application. But when I get to the lead and get him approved, of submitting an offer. So how I convert and 100% of my leads, or at least as much as I can, but also deal with the number one issue that we see, the most successful on Lender Launchpad, is using it to submit offers with our buyer agents directly to the listing agent. So I'm going to click on this. This is actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab this link. I've edited it. This is a personal presentation to my client. And I'm going to
Which real quick, just if you freeze, see, does everyone see the duplicate button? This is how easy it is to, you just literally click and you change a few aspects. So like once you get your base template made, you can just hit duplicate, duplicate, and everything will just keep going. You just change the name, change the client name.
Yeah.
You're off to the races. So I just wanted to point, that's how easy it is.
And then I go right down, use the same thumbnail, right? I switched out my mortgage coach TCA, made this for Brian and Julie Smith, right? So that's it. So I'm off to my next one. So let's go ahead. I'll just open this one up. So let's go ahead and actually, you know what? I'm going to text it. So here we go. Got a lead. I need to convert everything I do. So the agents that are on this right now, I'd love to hear your feedback. Where are you? Text message. Hold on a second. Oh, there you go. Sorry. Here we go. Brian, Julie, hey, I'm going to send you over your information that we just spoke about. Here's our options, application link. Everything's included in there, right? So I took a lead, and then I'm going to go and submit that out to my client, right? So you can do it via text. You can send it your usual methods, email, no big deal. But this is me packaging everything together to convert the lead. So let's look
hold on. You just skipped through that. Like y'all look at that text message with that thumbnail. You better believe that is a scroll stopping, like for all of us who get a bajillion text messages, it shows up with that nice thumbnail right on the front in your text. That makes it easy. This is what I mean by removing the friction of how are we helping with our communication that's more in line with what we're used to on, say, social and the internet, where now all they have to do is click that message and then it pops up to this next window.
So thank you. I do go fast, so I apologize. So there's the nice little thing. I love to text, by the way. So that's going to show up. And when they click on it, this is what opened up. This is a private presentation. This is between me, Brian, and Julie, right? This is your actual client. So I use Mortgage Coach. So I'm going to go ahead and generate the TCA. And then they're laid out the options, right?
There's Scott Nicholson. Happy Saturday too. So I wanted to get this in
there and loads my review engines. My review engine comes in automatically. I bring in the buyer agent, right? So let's say Abby, right? Abby is what referred Johnson's to me. She didn't, but it's a mutual client. But I just, what's Todd Duncan, Circle of Trust, bringing in my agent with me. Abby went with me on the initial. So this is me just converting them. So I just put in their simple stuff. This is all template here. So if they can't find my apply online up here, they can go right back in here, click on the application, get going. This is how I can communicate to a lead, right? Using Lender Launchpad in a private matter. I bring in my agent. And so we're all working together to convert it, to get it to approval and write the offer. So now, Here's the big one. So this is a game changer in our industry. I know, because I know specifically how it's done with and I don't originate as much as I used to anymore. I'm going to show you specifically. I'm going to grab it. So let's go here, copy URL, don't peek. So here's the next message, right? Okay, Todd, you're my listing agent. Deb,
Yep.
you're my client, right? Whatever.
Okay.
So, hey, Todd, it's Scott Nicholson here, Bank 123. We're going to write an offer. Todd, by the way, you pushed me to voicemail. So we're going to write an offer on your 123 Makeup Street. So Deb is the buyer agent. So Deb Byrd is a buyer agent. So look for the purchase contract that's going to come across probably via email from Deb. 2, I would be the lender involved if we have the opportunity to work together. So when I hang up, I'm going to text you a private link, and it's going to have 3 things from you from the lending side. Number 1, it's going to have a pre-approval letter, which you can download. Number 2, has a short video for me explaining what we've done as far as underwriting and process. Number 3, client gave me the authority to share how and why we're structuring the offer this certain way. Click. And so I'm going to send that link, the private Lender Launchpad link, out to Todd, the listing agent. And this is what he's going to get on his cell phone. Todd, what do you think that picture is right there?
It looks like my house.
That's your listing right there in world famous Newport Beach. And this is an actual property. I edited it a little bit. Brian and Julie Johnson are really good friends of mine. So I'm going to look at this private presentation I did via Lender Launchpad that I used to send directly to the listing agent. And so number 1, like I told Todd, he can download the PDF right there for his records. And then I personally reuse Mortgage Coach. So I just redo the video and I record it right to, in this case was Tara. So here's actually how it starts. Me giving the offer to the agent. Remember,
Hi, Tara. It's Scott Nicholson. Happy Saturday to you. So I wanted to get this information over. I would be the lender if we have the opportunity to work together. I know Abby has sent over that purchase contract. And so I'm going to give you some information from the lending side and perspective. So 3 things.
So I laid it out, right? So here's the thing with this. So do listing agents want to hear from the lenders? 100%, right? And maybe before we get even further with this, let me pause and back up a second. This is so critical to do on Lender Launchpad, just to submit offers with your buyers, because how competitive is the market right now? It's extremely. And are we going to solve the inventory crisis anytime soon? No, we're going to be deficient on that. So it's always whoever wants to come into this market, they're always going to be fighting for the inventory. So what are you, loan officers, and or if you're a buyer agent listening to this, what are you guys doing differently to make your offer stand above and beyond the normal ones that are lining up on the front porch with their pre-approval letter, right? And the contract. We have to be different in this market. And this is leveraging technology to give a slight advantage, or actually a huge advantage. Because think about what just happened here. The buyer agent did exactly what they always do. We're not telling the agents to do anything different. The only thing different here as a loan officer, I'm using my Lender Launchpad to flank left and make that phone call into Todd and deliver but from a lender perspective, on his cell phone. I'm going to get about 30 seconds. That's all I'm going to get from Todd. And if it's a competitive offer and I can steal his mind for just a few and make it easy for him, and I'll explain how this one worked in just 2 seconds. So that's the problem I'm trying to solve in our industry. How to take Lender Launchpad for our members to get more effective opportunities in their offer situation. So number 1, phone call. Number 2, I drop that link. What happens to be I use his picture as the thumbnail. I'm going to get it. Todd, are you going to open that thing? Hell yeah, you are. I got you. You're not going to move away with a phone call and a text with your listing on there, and you've probably never seen one before. I'm going to get you. Unless I'm 100 under offer, I'm probably not going to win the offer. But now I step in with Todd, fully underwritten, fully approved, conditions back. I'm ready to go. Title escrow appraisal. We're done. Step 3, and the last part is, Todd, client gave me the authority, and I want you to look at these numbers. This was a large second home in Newport. and I frame all my buy downs, which happens to tie in the original subject here is buy downs. This is what it looked like on a second home jumbo, 7.5% and a payment of 17.4. So we offered fair price. We negotiated 90,000 in the buy down. I took it to 5 3/8, and we saved them $2,900 a month for the life of the loan. So that's a big deal right there. And so what's critical about this, in the video, I explain it to Tara, the listing agent, because here's why. When she got the offer from Abby, the buyer's agent, she just goes, no way, we're at 90,000. I've never seen it. What are you guys doing? You guys like stealing the money? What are you guys, where's this money going? And then all of a sudden my phone call and text flew in. She loved it. She immediately got it. She saw my TCA. And Scott, here was the difference maker. I love this. I've never seen it, but literally I just forwarded it to my seller. I want you to look at this offer, and I want you to watch the video from the lender on this. Here's what they're doing. Did they take the offer? Yes or no? Absolutely. We closed this property. And so we started with purchase options, right? And we finished with our approval, our submitting our offer. So that's a great 1-2 punch in the market. So I'll pause if there's questions or comments on this.
All right. I love it. I love it. So stop sharing for a second so we can all see our smiling faces. I think there's a couple of things I think to point out, right? Number one is you may or may not believe, Scott, that this is going to be a more effective way to get someone to accept an offer, which I think he showed us that that's actually true. But let's assume he's wrong about that. It's a differentiator. That's really the other part, right? You're making yourself look different to the agents, which is who you're trying to attract right now. And so I think that is, to me, sort of the big win, besides the fact that you're creating one easy, tight place to tie all these things together and make things great. And then real quick, Aaron's asking about the thumbnail. I'm pretty sure the thumbnail just shows up because you're using iMessage and text, right? The link creates the thumbnail. Is that accurate?
Yes. So you would create the thumbnail in Lender Launchpad. You can use whatever you want, right? Like the offer or just the numbers. That's just a custom one. And then I'll go ahead and just grab the listing photo, your listing photo, Todd, and use that as a thumbnail. And I'll show you in the back end in a minute.
Okay. And so I think that really, to me, that's what I love about it is it's the differentiation, right? The bottom line is this. Deborah and I interviewed Courtney Benson last week, a $30 to $40 million producer from Texas. And she, in that interview, I can't wait till we post it because she literally spent about 5 minutes explaining how loan officers call her. She copied all of our scripts and made fun of us, and then talked about some loan officers who have added value by being different. And so I believe that this is one of those opportunities where we can bring something to them that is different. And I know that is the opportunity. That's why you're all here. That's why you're all still watching this. And so I think that is really great. And that's why I was so excited to have Scott here sharing it today. Because just, full disclosure, guess what I get for this? Nothing. All I'm trying to do is add value to all of you. This is not about, me, plugging some product that I'm involved in. I'm really doing this just to support Scott in the mission because I'm a big believer.
Well,
I just want to tie a bow on that because, to wrap this around with how you can execute this in a systematic way, especially leveraging the win by noon ideal week. We know Mondays are meant for, review, plan, and launch. So what if I just pulled up redfin.com and I went to the buy tab and I looked at in the last 14 days, how many in my area price reductions. So this is what you could do every Monday as part of your win by noon, planning week. If I'm going to execute a killer strategy, I'm going to pull up how many price reductions have occurred. And these are all possible one-to-many Lender Launchpads that I could send this link not only via text, via email, in the DMs, because when this same link goes into direct message or Facebook Messenger, it's going to show the same way. And now I can proactively educate the listing agent who just recently dropped a price. Right. Probably because they didn't have the right marketing materials to help educate, whether it's the seller or potential buyers, of how, doing a seller concession would actually help them more with probably what the bigger problem is, which is the pain point of the monthly payment. So use your win by noon ideal week. If you haven't gotten your planner, you guys should all, this is the last week, guys, of March and of Q1. We've got Q2 starting literally next week. This planner helps you with those daily disciplines, and Lender Launchpad can help you execute that. not only on going after these partners, but then also on the annual asset reviews. I mean, imagine if you had this link to give to your client where it shows, a CMA report of how their home has appreciated. Maybe you've included their homeowner's insurance policy, their county taxes. Does it show they even filed their homestead exemption? So it's everything you need for them in one link instead of a really bulky, clunky email.
Right.
Well, I don't know what a homestead exemption is, but that sounds something really Texas.
It is.
And so, well, let me throw one last thing, and then Scott, you can take over and share your screen and make sure we close out with whatever else you wanted to share. The other part I love about it is I know the two of you train on this at least once a week. Is it more than that?
3 times a week.
Three times a week, right? Live training on the platform in your group. And so, I kind of feel like you're giving a little bit of a small peek under the hood, but there's a lot of training that you guys do. And so keep that in mind as well. And your head is spinning. Well, it should be spinning because this is pretty cool tech. However, Scott does a great job with Deborah, oftentimes breaking this down for you and helping making sure you can execute on it. And I think that's really the critical piece. It's great to buy tech. It's not great to buy something that you don't understand how it works and they don't support you. And that's not what you get here.
Right.
We have a lot of fun on the Wednesday. I'm on the Wednesday calls in case we've got some people who are showing up, making comments already on my sweet tarts, because you guys will hear some of the inside scoop of Scott and Deb on those Wednesday calls. But yeah, it's a community for sure. And it's meant to help you guys learn how to use the tool and actually use it, not just pay for something.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, I know Aaron's on here, right? Aaron Hart. I mean, I'll be honest, he'll be okay with me sharing this. Let's be honest, he's not the most tech savvy guy that's ever walked this planet. But
those are fighting words.
No, but we laugh because I did hey, Scott, I need some help. So we sat down but all of a sudden he's like, oh, I get this. This is easy. Ding, 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 ding. And it's pretty, that's the whole point of it. Because I know as an originator with a bunch of software, a lot of the stuff is like, man, this stuff's complicated, right? And it's going to eliminate probably 3/4 of the industry because it's too complicated to use. So with that, let's go in and share a couple things. Deb, you brought something up. I really want to add value to both the agent part, the realtors and the LOs that are on this call. So let me show you how easy it is to, number one, reproduce that offer. So once I've built it once, it takes me from scratch, maybe 3-4 minutes, right? All I do is I put in a header right on the top. Like we showed you guys earlier, I'll just put in a header, right? And this is going, Scott, I got to scale. I do 50 offers a day. No problem. We can scale with you. I could probably outpace your scale. And then we're going to flip in a new pre-approval letter, a new message to the listing agent. I'm going to either do a BombBomb, my TCA, some type of video communication to the agent. There's my mortgage coach, which I'll drop right in there. But let's say this is a different agent that's coming in here. Let's say this is Brad Kerr that's going with me, and we have a different listing. So I'm going to go and delete that one. I can go to my Redfin, pull that up. I'm going to go, actually, this was an actual listing the other day. We were trying to buy a foreclosure. Not the prettiest one, but it's effective. And then now, once I hit save and share, there it is. This is for a client of mine right now that we're buying a foreclosure, but that's how easy that is. Then I can grab the link and send it out. Second thing, I had this real quickly. I had a conversation at your Mortgage Modern Summit, guys, with an agent there. And I asked her the question. I go, hey, I'm going to ask you a question. How do you feel about LOs calling you? Oh, man, I hit a nerve with her, right? She goes, you have no, okay. Well, what if I could do this? And I explained the FHA thing, right? So I did a whole presentation on the 30 basis points reduction. What if I can take that and customize it for you and you can share that with your clients? She goes, I would love that. So watch how easy this is. I'm going to duplicate a public presentation, which is on my Nicholson loans. I'm going to make this for my agent. Let's say it's Brad Kerr in this example. I'm going to go from private to public. And then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add Brad, my agent, in there. I'm going fast, so bear with me. So there's my agent, right? And then I'm going to select Brad. And I'm going to move him up all the way to the top. And now this is a private presentation on what FHA just did and creates a ton of affordability. There's Brad Kerr right there. And when I open this link up, this private link, Brad now can take my content. We can work together and educate what just happened in the industry. Look how fast I can do that. Now I can, and I'll put this into chat. Look how easy that is to add for an agent. And I'll end with this, guys. I'll end with the CMA report. And this is a big one. And so, and I'll be quick. We'll wrap it up. I only got a couple minutes. So I'm going to go find it. And so, funny backstory. This came to us by one of our members who's a big broker out of Tampa. And so he goes, Scott, I really need to learn the appraisal gap. All right, I'll teach you. So there's something on with my YouTube. There's a great video of the agent and I right here. And this is the link, and I'll put this one in chat too. Somebody's probably in my YouTube account. There's the CMA report. So what we do on this is a report that goes to a seller pre-listing appointment. And what we're doing in the video is a great YouTube. I'll get it live, so that link will populate here when I jump off the call here. That's a great, Austin and I are talking. He sets up, his conversation to his potential seller. He introduces me as the LO. I say, if we have opportunity to work with you, I'm going to solve three things. I'm going to get the best client in escrow for us, quantify and qualify. Number two, if we have an issue with value, here's our solution and how we can deal with that to keep the most amount of net. And then lastly, if we get a lowball offer, here's how we deal with that. So here's the cool thing to wrap all this up. And this is great that it's all packaged all together on the Lender Launchpad. It's got the full CMA report. All I need from my agent is give me the name of the client, the seller we're going to the appointment with. Give me the physical CMA. I'll upload it, and then I'll add this. And we just come in here. We just duplicate this thing every time. We'll come in here. We'll go duplicate. I just change the name to the next seller. Where are you? Oh, sorry, got to push the button. I'll change it to the next seller, right? There's John Seller, or whatever his name is, right? I just need the name and the CMA report, which I'll flip out. And then I actually share the listing photos on there. And I save and share, and I enable that to my listing agent, and they go to market with that. So I'll stop there. See, I'm getting better with as far as on time, right? Scott,
Yeah.
I think you're like me though, Scott. You just want to give and give and give and give. And so I'm super appreciative of that. And I respect that a lot. And I think that is, again, part of the reason that, you do what you do. And, I kind of joke because you're like, yeah, I only did like whatever you did, almost 100 million last year. So I'm as a part-time loan officer, whatever that number was, it was a big number. So don't also sell yourself short there as well.
Right. Well, but I'm excited for this because we fill a huge void in our industry, right? And we immediately saw that when we launched this, and for my 22 years is like, man, there's just that space right there. So hard as far as marketing, right? Kai talks a lot about this, right? Everyone talks about scripts and sales, but no one's really good at marketing. So I can take someone with no experience. We have plenty of people on our Lender Launchpad that are very new, but when they build stuff like this, all of a sudden it looks like they're the 20 season year veteran out there putting this type of content together. And then now we're starting to have like your sister. I mean, these massive titans in the industry come in, and that's where I circle back to my members and going, guys, these titans are moving in on us, moving in on you guys. You better go get market share now.
Losing their head start.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I can go now because when these big people are moving in here, they're going to take market share from you. So there you go. So
all right. So where are we sending them? We're sending them to lenderlaunchpad.com.
Oh yeah, lenderlaunchpad.com. Here's the cool thing. What's the cost, Scott? Cost is $99. It's a month-to-month, no setup fee, no sign-up fee. There's no, contracts, any of that stuff. I'm not a huge believer in all that stuff. When you sign up, you instantly create your whole platform. We're going to send you some how-to videos. We got a bunch of how-to stuff. I personally coach you guys Tuesday, Thursdays. Deb and I together coach you guys on Wednesdays. So lots of support, lots of training. We're trying to keep it very cost efficient in a tough market a challenging market that we're in.
Love it. All right. So I just want to say thank you to Scott. Thank you for everyone listening. Deborah Byrd, you get to close us out.
Okay, so I put in the chat, but those of you who are listening as well, this is your homework assignment. It started, if you remember, step 1 was your topic. So the first step to this, I want y'all to just create a brain dump of all the different topics. Think of the LLPAs, the FHA and VA funding fee, all these complex topics that when you're viewed as the salesperson, you can't just do talking head videos anymore because people don't believe you. They think you're trying to sell them on things. So come up with your topic list. Step 2 is then think about what are the supporting items, which TCAs is it that I create, which article or graphs do I need to incorporate? All of those other types of media that is encompassed within this one link is to help give you more credibility and validity from you just being a salesperson. Right. So step 1, create all of those complex list of topics for, again, either the client or your agent partners who are struggling. Then for each topic, you're going to create your action plan for each one. Like what are the specific TCAs that I need to include? And then you'll be ready to go. You need to go ahead and schedule your demo call, sign up. Guys, it's $99 a month. Even for any of you who even host your own domains, you spend more than that for a website. So there's really no cost to this. When you look at what it's going to do and how it attracts business for you, it ends up giving you an ROI. So I know money's tight for some, we've got lean pipelines, but this is how you stand out in a very noisy world.
Yep. 100%. I mean, well, can I add just 2 seconds to that?
As long as you don't say right.
No, you had a great point right there. And that's what we teach. If I was an LO right now looking to sign up, Scott, what's my first step? Number 1, build the pre-approval. Number 2, put the FHA or whatever LLPAs together. So what you're doing is you're helping your buyer agent, your buyers now, just with 2 pieces. Now flip to the other side of the fence for your listing agents, 2 pieces. Put the CMA together and put a property together. You're helping them get the next appointment and you're helping them market the property. That's it. The rest is just extra stuff as we start to move along. That's it.
And perception's reality. That's why a lot of these young bucks are taking market share right now, because they are using these tech tools, and y'all are going to have to dust off a little bit. That's what the whole point was, the generational shift that's going on.
Yeah.
We've got to start.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that quote. Y'all got to dust off a little bit. Ouch. But I love it. It's true.
Yeah.
It is. Truth hurts sometimes. It comes with love, guys. Comes with love.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you too. Thanks for having me on and
Yes.
just kind of sharing our mission and what we're doing in our industry. So thank you. And
Thank
everything you guys are doing too is win
Yeah.
by noon and plug and play, companies, platforms.
There we go. The dream team. Appreciate you all.
Sweetest
Thank you again.
combination.
All right, people.
Thanks all.
Thanks for hanging with us. We appreciate you. We will be back next week with Pace Morby.
Yeah. Big
Subject to,
deal.
if you people don't want to hear something, the guy charges 10 grand for his classes, and Deborah and I have him coming on here.
Whoa. Okay.
Started with the DM, just slid into the DMs, guys. Now he's going to be on the show.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.